Hello, welcome to Law and Other TV. I am Anima. In one of our sessions, I talked about the factors of the rule of law according to the World Justice Project. And today I'm going to be emphasizing on regulatory enforcement and executive lawlessness. But before I go into that, I just want to tell you what the World Justice Project stands for. Now, the World Justice Project is an international civil society organization with a stated mission of advancing the working of the rule of law around the world. Now, it was founded in 2006 and located in Washington, D.C. Now, they believe that an effective rule of law can combat crime, corruption, poverty, disease, and make the government accountable, and also provide for respect for fundamental rights. Now, the regulatory enforcement, which is the sixth factor of the rule of law according to the World Justice Project, says that regulations and administrative provisions are to be enforced and applied without undue influence from public officials or private interests. Now, looking at the case of Ojukwu and the states and Lagos State, in conjunction with the respect for the rule of law, it can be clearly seen that the government of Lagos State disobeyed the rule of law, resorted to self-help, and committed contempt of court. Now, let me quickly emphasize or analyze the case of Ojukwu carefully and briefly. Now, in the case of Ojukwu against the state, Ojukwu had brought an application before the High Court of Lagos State seeking an interim injunction to restrain the government of Lagos State from ejecting him and members of his family from his property at Ikoyi. On oath, he had said that property at Ikoyi belonged to his father, and after his father's death, the property devolved to him. And he also said that the property remained unoccupied between 1967 and 1970 because of the civil war, and he led the civil war against Nigeria. He led the war against Nigeria, and he remained away from Nigeria, stayed away from Nigeria after the war was over. He came back in 1982 because he was granted pardon by the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, the High Court of Lagos State refused to grant his application, stating that the property was abandoned and he failed to show legal interest in the property. Now, Ojukwu appealed to the Court of Appeal, and during the pendency of his application in the Court of Appeal, the government of Lagos State went ahead and resorted to self-help, evicted Ojukwu from his property. Now, the High Court said that self-help ceases to exist once an issue has been brought before the court. So if an issue is before the court, you cannot resort to self-help. And then, when they refused to obey the order of the court asked them, after they evicted Ojukwu, to reinstate Ojukwu back to his residence in Ikoyi, but they refused. The Lagos State government refused to reinstate Ojukwu to his property. Rather, they went ahead to the Supreme Court. They brought an application on the ground that a remedy for interlocutory injunction is not available where an act has been carried out and concluded. Now, in its wisdom, the Supreme Court refused to grant that application because you cannot disobey the order of court and also seek relief from that court, because it is a disrespect for the rule of law, and it shows contempt for the court. Now, looking at this case in conjunction with respect for the rule of law, one can clearly see that the government of Lagos State disobeyed the court's order, committed contempt of court, resorted to self-help, and showed no respect for the rule of law. And the World Justice Project puts it towards that regulatory enforcement provides that regulations, administrative provisions must be enforced. Laws made are to be enforced. It wasn't just made to be hanging in the air. so to say. Laws are made to be obeyed by all, government, individuals, irrespective of position, class, or office. Everyone is meant to obey the law. So it is clear that even in this present Nigeria, in the past few years, we have heard of cases of executive lawlessness where the executive arm of government has openly disrespected the order of courts where such orders were made. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. This is Law and Other TV, and I am Anima.